So, Tower of God Season 1, Episode 13 just recently came out, and that was the end of the anime. And for the most part, I think the anime was actually pretty good, good enough for me to watch it. But that doesn't mean it was necessarily perfect. I feel like there was a lot more Tower of God could have done for us, but it just couldn't manage to do it. And I do want to talk about this more. Um, It did have a lot of hype surrounding it on its release since it was like the first webtoon to get an actual anime. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but so there was a lot of like webtoon readers that have been waiting for an anime for ages and ages, and they're finally getting it. So there was like really hyped, and everyone was saying how good the story is. And I mean, seeing just what happened in season one, I don't know how closely it resembles the story in the webtoon. I didn't feel like it was as much as it was hyped up to be. And this isn't just some rant against hyping. Like, it's fine if you want to hype an anime, but I do want to say that Tower of God wasn't amazing. It wasn't Hunter x Hunter or Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood level of amazing, and I definitely felt like it could have been, so I do want to talk about what it could have done better. But before that, I do want to talk about what I did like about the anime, since I did say I did enjoy it, and I felt like it had more potential. So the first thing it did good was unique characters. In my opinion, I mean, I guess Yoru or Bam wasn't exactly that unique, but he was a good main character set up to climb the tower, for example. Like, he lost his memory and he had a lot of potential, and that set us up for his journey as an underdog and how he grows and climbs the tower, gets stronger, right, with everyone else. Rahel, well, I don't even consider Rahel as a main character, but we'll get to that in a little bit. And Rock and Kun and the rest of the group was really lighthearted and cheerful. I mean, despite what kind of circumstances they were in, like they were clearly in a test to fight each other, and they might end up like killing each other or failing or whatever, right? Like, it definitely felt like all the characters had a lot of like chemistry with each other and just eventually come together pretty effortlessly, and it definitely felt like they did that really, really well in terms of setting up who the main cast is and how they would interact with each other. I mean, especially like Enderossi and Anak with their Princess of Jahad powers and like the whole like them being like too full of themselves. Like, that was pretty unique, and it definitely made for good characters. Especially like Kun. Kun was definitely the plotting genius that literally carried the shit out of like every single arc that was in the anime. So he was definitely one of the things the anime did pretty fucking well. Other things, I guess the art style was really good. I mean, it was weird at the start, but eventually I was just like, yo, this is actually pretty nice. I definitely liked it after a while, and Shinsu, or God Water or whatever they call it in the anime, was actually pretty well drawn. It was really beautiful, and I guess the opening was also really good. I mean, I definitely came to like it from very early on in the anime. So, my issues on this anime, and this is what I mainly want to focus on talking about. Number one is the end goal given to our main character. So, the tower was said to be this magical thing that you climb to the top and you literally get a wish granted. So, you're basically God after you get to the top of the tower, right? But this seems like something that would be really rare. Like, people climbing the tower, just from that information given to us, sounds like it would be a really rare thing, and you wouldn't see these many people, like just casual people that are just the test examiners, to just have been to the top of the tower and be called rankers. And it definitely felt like rankers existed in a quantity way higher than I expected from this anime. And it definitely feels like it takes away a little bit from our main character's end goal, and like, for that matter, everyone else taking the exam's end goal, which is just like to climb the tower. But then we see so many people here that have already done it, and it just like completely lost its novelty as a concept. Well, you're like, what's at the top of the tower? Like maybe it doesn't exist, maybe it doesn't grant wishes, but that's all just taken away when we have casually people just climbing the tower and just existing. The second thing I didn't quite like about this anime was the main examiner, Yu Han Sung, and his little mind game adventure. Since it already sucks that we know nothing about the system or the tower in general, the fact that the main examiner was just in the background plotting, scheming away just didn't feel right, and it was just like he was just rubbing it in the audience's face about how little we know about the situation. And then it actually ends up that he's a good guy, like, or, well, pretends to be. I don't know what the actual story is. It just, near the end of the anime, he saves Yoru, right? So he ends up being a good character all along. And it's really confusing as to why they decided to show all these scenes of him, like, plotting away. It just felt really unnecessary, and I'm just like, why are you showing this guy instead of just like having him come at the end, save Yoru, and like just not have all the shenanigans of making the audience hate him in the first place? Because it just definitely feels completely unnecessary. It definitely also emphasizes on the fact that the anime definitely tells us nothing about what's going on in the world, and this is even worse when characters like Leroro and the Quant are just confused about what's happening in the tower and are actually getting affected by these mind games. Because these are rankers, remember? Like, these are people that should know a lot about the tower. And they're just like, here, confused, like, maybe we don't know everything about the tower. Like, what are the audience meant to think if these characters who are meant to be gods act like this? It definitely doesn't give us a good example of how strong a ranker is, and definitely takes away from all the godliness they've been shown to possess. Thirdly, Rahel. So, as a character, I don't think I can hate Rahel that much. Now, I know there's a lot of hate going around for Rahel, but hear me out. Like, I just don't even think she's worth investing in as a character. Like she's just so inferior in comparison to everyone else shown on the show. All the way up to the final episode, well, we barely see any Rahel. Like we see like one or two scenes, and the only opinion I formed of her was that she was just selfish for leaving Yoru at the bottom of the tower, right? And just going alone to climb it for whatever reason, like I can't take you type stuff, right? But I mean, the first thing we see her do is like I guess discounting the thing where she could have killed Yoru earlier. The first thing we actually see her do is push Yoru off the edge of the little boat they were in, or like the little island they were in inside the water, right? And this just felt like so weird. Like, why? What incentive does this character have to do this thing, right? And I mean, I was fine going down the route where Rahel is just the antagonist, the bad person, and we just see Yoru's adventures of like coming back, all strong and like, well, I don't know, calling out Rahel and like not helping her or whatever. But after the last episode, it just became clear that Rahel was just a character that was just gonna linger around, and she was just gonna be there no matter what in the story. And it's never really gonna be like she's never really gonna be a good character. She's just gonna be there, and she's gonna be selfish, and yours just gonna be putting up with it at the end of it because he loves her or whatever, right? Like I don't know what the incentive here exactly is, but she saved him, so he's going to save her. That kind of stuff. Also, I do want to say, like, the type of person that can't kill someone while they're sleeping, but will push them off the edge of that island just seems like the perfect cowardly way to do it. Like, she doesn't guarantee his death. She's like hoping somewhere in in her heart that he's actually alive when it's actually not gonna help her, which is just like so weird. Like, I don't know. I just didn't think she was a character with a strong heart, and it definitely proved out to be that way in general. So I can't hate her. To cut the anime some slack, I mean, it did just take 40-ish chapters of the webtoon out of like 450, 500-ish. So I didn't think it would cover that much story anyway, and especially it seems like it's taking the approach of Hunter x Hunter with the Hunter exam, so it doesn't do that much world building, which is completely understandable, but I just felt like we were too in the dark for what was going on screen, and I mean, it wasn't bad necessarily as much as it just disappointed since there was so much hype going into it, and I definitely expected more of this show, and so far, in terms of like promoting the webtoon or even season two, I don't think season one did that good of a job at portraying the story or the characters or just I mean maybe this is by design and this is how it was written on the webtoon, but I definitely didn't feel like it had that much showing in terms of the story, and I don't feel like it was that good in terms of like content. In fact, the only thing the anime did do well in terms of promoting the next season was the last scene where the red-haired girl, Hwa Yun, I don't know how you say this name properly, rescues Yoru and promises of like training him. That was really hype, and I mean, especially like all the hype from the people that have read the webtoon is what actually makes me want to look forward to season two and maybe even read the webtoon. Not exactly what season one did for me. That's about it.